who the strongest would be in the Republican primary, I'm inclined to think that unless we have a great increase in the deterioration of our problems, that the incumbent president is very likely to be the candidate. There is the possibility that if, say, economic troubles come upon us between now and the election, that he could do as Lyndon Johnson did at one point, or that if he is challenged by some other Democrats, such as the governor of California, who's talking that way, then I would think that if that happened, Teddy Kennedy would probably enter the race. I doubt that he would just simply take on the president without those other things happening. He would be a very strong candidate, as we know. But the president, being the incumbent, is always a formidable opponent. I found that out.
J.D., in what way does a lobbyist influence better? Is it through his own personal contact, or is his ability to bring the constituent action?
Well, I think that would vary depending on the interest that the lobbyist represents. If it's a lobbyist who represents a group, certainly it will certainly vary. You, of course, have to, I would think, have the personality and the respect and the credibility no matter which type you represent.
On a profile of the legislature, is nose counting becoming more important with the narrow divergence between the two parties?
Oh, without question. I know I've had to count some on some bills, and it comes right down to the wire. You've had some pretty important issues that have come up in the House of Representatives, for instance, that came to a 50-50 tie. The one that stands out is the amendment trying to call for constitutional convention for the right to life amendment dealing with abortion. The do pass failed because it was a tie vote of 50-50. The do not pass failed because of a tie vote of 50-50. And finally, there was a motion to indefinitely postpone that passed 51-49. So you really, I'm sure whoever was lobbying that had just pulling their hair out trying to figure how close that one was going to be. And then, of course, in the Senate, you have close proximity to a majority, with the Republicans having 26-24. And
hard to find the noses?
I would guess that this session, of the ones that I've been around, and I've served under extremely liberal conditions, when the Democrats in the House had a 67-33, as I recall, it was pretty easy to count noses because you had some to spare. But this is a more conservative session. I don't think that anyone, conservatives or liberals, would question the fact that it's a more conservative session. Certainly you don't see near the multitude of what I would call extremely liberal bills even being introduced, because the chances of survival are slim and none in this legislature.
J.D., thank you much.
Okay.
Defense installations that are directly affected.
About if these, and there are no at Malmstrom, what is in the foreseeable future, what happens to Malmstrom then?
I think we could make a good case, as I said, for interceptor groups being based here, bringing them inland, as I said. We have a $36 million expansion program planned for Malmstrom Air Force Base. Some of that will be implemented this coming fall. The efficient use of these facilities and of the space available calls for basing a wing here. It calls for the utilization of this full plant, this very good plant that we have here, Malmstrom Air Force Base in Great Falls.
Facilities are excellent. For example, we went through in hangars, 90,000 square feet. It's, it's an older building, but it's in excellent shape. That's one of several buildings we've gone through. That is, buildings that where the missions would be withdrawn if, in fact, that's the case. I don't think we agree with your if. That is, if these certain transfers are made, then what? Because all of us are going to do what we can to make sure that if doesn't occur, and there are possibilities there. A case can be made, for example, that one of the four major centers for the ROCC program should not be on the coasts, but rather should be more inland because of the greater capability of Soviet SLBMs, for example. And so there are all kinds of ideas that we're pursuing, and the die is not yet cast. And the night they're then going.
Well, they're proposing a new educational center, which is on the drawing board, mostly planned, the plan of which is mostly complete, I understand. They're working on a coal-fired heating plant, which will be coming on, I believe, in something like 1982. Those are two of the things that they have planned for this facility.
Would cut that.
One problem we're facing is that we don't have anyone in the Montana delegation now who is either on the Armed Services Committee or on the Appropriations Committee. Senator Mansfield was able to help Montana very effectively because he was on the Senate Appropriations Committee. Obviously, we now in the delegation are going to have to make up for what we don't have in committee positions in diligence and imaginative effort to make sure that we can keep those appropriations. It probably means that we're going to push for congressional appropriations more than has been the case in the past. In the past, to a degree, the Air Force has not requested certain military construction expenditures at Malmstrom. It's been Senator Mansfield and Senator Metcalf and Montana delegation who have put those appropriations in budgets at the congressional level. So we're going to have to proceed. However, the expenditures that Congressman Marlenee talks about, I understand, will be in the fiscal 1981 budget. That is the budget that the administration will present to the Congress.
I think it's mostly a combination of bad politics. The Congress hasn't acted responsibly. The president, man, Schlesinger, as much as I like him, doesn't seem to be able to get this thing in hand. What I'm trying to say is there's enough crude oil in this country to satisfy all the fuel needs we have. I don't worry about President Carter being in trouble. He's got this country in so damn much trouble, we may not get out of it. He said the other day the most important thing he could do in his lifetime was to get SALT passed. I said the most important thing he could do is get the hell out of Washington. Go back and grow peanuts. He's a real disaster, believe me.